Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas, and you're watching Empire Building. So, the bloodbath continues. This is still the middle of the trading session. Time now is about 11:30 my time, which is mountain time. But before we get into this video, I just want to remind everybody to watch out for scammers and impersonators down in the comments. Please leave a like down below and subscribe to the video. It'll help support this channel. And share it with anybody you can think of, because I'm going to be covering something very important here. I shared this with people in the Patreon group on the Discord channel. If you're not a part of that, then consider supporting the channel. You can sign up with the link down below. We've got a great community there that's growing all the time. But what we can see here from the chart of Mara is we have pulled all the way back down, and I can't even believe we're seeing this right now. We've come all the way down and retested our trend line that we've been in ever since, December, when things really started to move. It doesn't make any sense. We should be on the other side of this channel right now. I don't know why this is happening, but it's happening nonetheless. But if this doesn't scream opportunity, I really don't know what does. Obviously, there's a lot of fear surrounding this, because what if Bitcoin was to continue dropping? What if Bitcoin actually failed to rally? This is a possibility. Yet these stocks have already acted as if that's already happened. As I pointed out in yesterday's video, Mara is now down at the price it first reached on February 9th. And again, Bitcoin's price on February 9th was $45,000. We're $17,000 higher than that, and we're 2 months into the future. There is an obvious disconnect here. Bitcoin continues to maintain itself above its former all-time high. I don't know what else to say here. Obviously, we are taking a risk. If anybody wanted to jump in right now, there is a risk associated with maybe Bitcoin doesn't sustain itself above that high. I think that is highly unlikely, but we're not going to get confirmation of that until probably over the weekend. But considering the pullback we've already sustained in these stocks, it's really hard to say what's going to happen next. I understand the fear and panic that's out there. I feel it in my gut as well. But the technicals tell me something very different. This is exactly what I mean. When I went heavy into these stocks, this was during a period with far more panic than what we're seeing right now. Buying when people are afraid is a very difficult thing to do. I believe it was Warren Buffett who said, everybody wants to buy low and sell high until it's time to buy low. It's hard to make those kinds of decisions during periods of mass panic. But the chart seems to be giving us this opportunity, one that I don't think we're going to see for a very long time. We've tested that trend line. Again, it makes no sense that we're actually down at these levels. In my opinion, there's no reason, with Bitcoin at all-time highs, we shouldn't be at the top of this channel or beyond it. Obviously, that's what I was anticipating. That's what made sense. But somehow, we've been given this opportunity instead. This is a hard one to act on, but those that do have a far greater chance of success. I would argue even if Bitcoin does fall down, we could still see these stocks rally. This has happened before as well, but obviously I'm not saying everybody should just YOLO into this thing and hope for the best. You should always be managing that risk and taking appropriate positions and gauging that size based on your own risk tolerance. But as I've said before, hindsight is 20/20. This is going to look painfully obvious after the fact. I wish there was something I could do or say that would just kind of give everybody a permanent sense of comfort. The reality is, investing in these things have never really been about comfort. It's about conviction. And as I've always said, conviction comes through education. You see, when I started investing in blockchain, obviously this was in 2018. It was a very scary time, and there was really no signs of hope. Every support floor that we were looking for failed, and we continued to fall. It was during this time that I spent a great deal of my time, rather than staring at these charts, and I began to educate myself. I got into mining myself. Got to understand how this technology functioned. I became a participant in it. For 3 years, I studied so that when the opportunity came, I'd be ready and I wouldn't get shaken loose at the first sign of panic. And really, honestly, being involved in this space is not just about making money. It provides you with a hope for the future, that things one day will look very different from what we were used to. A world where access to banking is available to everyone, regardless of where they were born, what they look like, whether or not they can read and write, whether or not they have ID. And even for those of us who are fortunate enough to have access to all of those things, it even provides more powerful solutions to everybody else. This technology is inevitable as the internet was. Unless anybody thinks we're just going to go back to using checks for payments for the next 100 years. And obviously, it's a whole lot easier to talk and think like this had you just been holding the coin, Bitcoin itself, because you'd be laughing. You'd still be up. There'd be nothing to be afraid about. That's why if you actually circle around the Bitcoin communities, there's no fear and panic there. They're just living life. It's fantastic. Ethereum's at new all-time highs. It's wonderful. So why are mining stocks being beaten down? This is why people often are just going to turn to the conspiracy theory that it's price manipulation. As I mentioned in the last video, I'm not totally convinced that's all it is. I do admit and I do agree that there's an aspect to that. But there is probably a significant amount of profit taking for people that maybe want to participate in the Coinbase IPO. Me personally, not interested. As a longer term hold, especially during this bull phase, the miners have a far greater upside potential than a company like Coinbase. Coinbase is going to be a lot more stable overall, but if you're really looking for gains, if you're really looking to take full advantage of this upside potential, this is the best play as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the reality is, as far as quarterly earnings is concerned, let's actually have a quick look at Coinbase. The quarterly earnings for the first quarter of 2021 actually put it at an impressive $1.8 billion in total revenue. After expenses, they're sitting at about $730 to $800 million in net income. That's impressive. The stock is a little bit too new for them to be publishing any information on forward PE ratios. But suffice it, we could try and do some of that math for ourselves. All we need to do is figure out what their earnings per share would work out to be. 1.8 billion divided by the total number of shares outstanding. 261.3 million shares outstanding. 261 300 000. That's $6.8 per share. So we'll just choose 6.9 as our round estimate there. And then we just take the current share price, which is about $333, divided by 6.9. We get a forward PE of about 48. Now that was using their total revenue, come to think of it. The point is, it's already got a very high valuation on a company that's very large. By contrast, a company like Marathon, based off the new share price that we've just seen, the drop down to today, that's actually giving us when I just last did the math, that's giving us a forward PE of approximately 3. So where do you really want to be in this scenario? Sooner or later, the market will wake up to this reality. Coinbase is a great company. It's grown substantially, but it's already very large. These companies have phenomenal revenues, but the market hasn't priced in any of that future revenue. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's because they want to actually see those miners arrive and Bitcoin's price still be high. But that outlines the opportunity that we have in front of us. The only leap of faith you have to make is that Bitcoin is not done here. Assuming you believe that, then all that has to happen is Mara does need to execute. They need to install these miners quickly, as soon as they arrive. After that, it's just math, and no amount of manipulation can change that, or any other strange market forces that seem to be at play here. But it is comforting to see that at least we are still within this trading range. It just doesn't make any sense which side of that trading range we're currently on. But I'll take it. What I would like to see is that all of these companies should start really considering putting out some information about their current status, anything that could help highlight what it is that their value proposition is. Maybe people just need to be reminded of the opportunity that's here. But I am looking forward to looking back at this with the benefit of hindsight. That's all for this one. Now let's get back to empire building.